All right, tribe. So, if someone was to ask you if you publish content on YouTube, what would your answer be? Now, this is a yes or no question. However, I'm very aware that some of us might respond with the answer sometimes. But if you are a small business owner or an aspiring content creator, you absolutely need to produce content. And YouTube is the platform that you should do that on because it is open source, free advertising, free marketing for your business, and also because of its longevity. It is successful at allowing your content, so your brand, your presence, your niche, your products, your services to get in front of the right audience that wants to watch, purchase, and be within your community and follow you. Okay. Other than that, YouTube pays buku dollars. Okay. This is another way to diversify your income stream. YouTube will pay you to advertise your brand, products, and services. Okay. So even if you're not necessarily looking to sell anything, maybe you just want to produce content, maybe you know something really well, and you want a way to teach others without having to apply to a university or a school or to start a trade. YouTube is the platform to do that. However, if you are not currently producing consistent content and publishing on YouTube, then more than likely, the answer to the question that I initially started this conversation with is no. Okay. We need to produce content consistently in order to actually be identified in the public as a content creator. If you don't publish content, your audience is not going to see you as that. Okay. We want the world to reflect back to us of what we already know. And so this conversation comes off of the heels of my Make It Manifest workshop. It was a 2-day workshop that I hosted Thursday and Friday. Yesterday was day 2, and it was absolutely amazing and inspiring because we, in the moment, stepped into the frequency of the version of ourselves that wanted to receive a manifestation or our manifestation. So today, we're talking about how to shift your identity into that of a consistent content creator, an identity that absolutely is waiting for you to step into shoes, clothes, makeup, accessories, and all. Okay. We're shifting into the identity of the person who effortlessly creates and publishes content, not the person who tries to make content or sometimes makes content, but the version of you who already is a content creator. Now, here's the key idea of today's conversation. Content is not something that you force, okay? It's something that you become. Identity makes creation automatic. And that's why it's so important to shift into the identity of a content creator in order to identify as a content creator. Okay. Now, I just want to reemphasize that content creation is a non negotiable for my small business owners. As we go into the year of 2026, it would behoove you to not create and publish content consistently on the YouTube platform. So today I'm going to give you some new strategies to win as a content creator, this new version of yourself that we're stepping into today in 2026. And we're going to start with the identity formula for content creators to win in 2026. I'd like to introduce you to one of my frameworks for this, okay? It goes from identity to behavior to output. People often jump to the output right away. What should I post? But creators start at the actual identity, successful creators. We need talking points. If you identify as someone who is inconsistent, then you will act as such. You will act as a person who is inconsistent. So even when someone asks you the question, hey, do you have a YouTube channel? If your answer is yes, but I don't post that often or don't publish a lot of content, then guess what you will continue to do? Have a YouTube channel that you do not post consistently on. We want to actually step right into that new identity immediately. So if someone was to ask me that question, and if I was prior to that question a person who published content inconsistently on YouTube, right then and there, my answer or I right then and there, I would shift into that new identity. So my answer will not be yes, but my answer would be yes. And here's my YouTube channel. Now, let's say if that's the case, I didn't post for over the last couple months, maybe even year or couple years. Guess what? If there's any content that currently exists on that channel, that is what they're going to get. I would give over my channel handle, and whatever content already existed is there for them to watch. We do not need to determine how our content lands with people. People determine how our content lands with them, and we use that as feedback so that we can continue to make adjustments to our content. Now, if you're a person that currently does not have any content on your YouTube channel, maybe you have a channel but you have absolutely no content. If I were you, my answer would still be yes, and I would immediately after that conversation create a piece of content, even if it was a short that said, hey, I just started this YouTube channel. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about yet, but I feel like it's very important for me to introduce myself to my audience. Hi, my name is Shayna, and I am the owner of Shayna Creates. And I really hope that you'll tune in to the content that I'll be posting next to let me know what you think and if this content resonates with you. I just made that up on the fly. And that is 60 seconds or less, I'm pretty sure. And guess what? I would use that as content immediately. If someone is already interested, they decided that they were interested in you during a conversation that led them to ask for a way to follow you on social media, specifically on YouTube, then they are likely to be the ones to see that piece of content, subscribe anyway, even though you don't have anything else going on there, and then wait for you to drop the next piece of content so that they can continue to get to know you and to actually evaluate and assess whether your content resonates with them. Sometimes people just like to subscribe to our channel because they like our vibe, not even because they really know what we're talking about or if what we're talking about resonates with them. Can I get a witness? Is there any content creators that you follow that you tune into that maybe your paths are not similar, right? But you like their vibe, you like what they're talking about. Like you don't do what they do, but you follow them because you appreciate their content. You appreciate their consistency. You appreciate how they put things together and the attitude and their ability to show up on a consistent basis. Okay. I have a few of those that's in my bucket. I don't watch their content frequently, but they're there as a channel that I've subscribed to. And when I'm scrolling through all of the channels I subscribe to, I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot about this person, right? And I tune in and see what they're doing. Okay. So I highly suggest that as of right now, you are stepping into this new identity. When someone asks you if you are consistently publishing content on YouTube, your answer is yes. And that affirmation that you are making to yourself, not just that person, but to yourself, now means that you need to produce content consistently, even if it's a 60-second short. If you identify as someone who documents, expresses, and shares value daily, right, your content will naturally flow. Now, we do this already with our friends and our family and even strangers that we speak to. Okay. We document things, we talk about that thing. We experience something, we express our feelings and our opinions on that thing. We're constantly sharing value anyway. And so we're better at allowing this to naturally flow through conversations with people without a camera on. But for the most part, y'all, in 2026, all you need to do is turn your camera on. There has been so many times where I'll record content and I decide later on which pieces of content that I'd like to use and like to publish. Okay. Your identity is 100% shaped by what you think, say, and do repeatedly. And I've already encouraged and empowered you all throughout this year to produce content at least once a week, not even once a day, just once a week with intention. Why? Because then this becomes your identity. I'm able to say that I am a consistent content creator because I show up every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a piece of content. Okay. I'm not focused on who's watching it or when they're watching it. It just lives, it just is. And then I take the feedback that I get from my analytics, the comments, the views, and how long someone is staying to watch this piece of content to constantly shift. Okay, so I'm constantly talking to people about content creation for their own platform because content creation becomes easy when we identify with what it feels like. Content creation becomes easy when the identity behind it feels natural. So we want to organically have these conversations with people. And I really mean it. I mean organic and natural. I've been talking for the last few weeks about what this looks like for us as individuals, especially for the clients that I work with and who has one of these three problems that I'm about to mention next. So let me know if this resonates with you. By the way, if you're already here to this point, do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I drop another piece of content like this because we're talking about content strategies for 2026 for the rest of the year, which is like 4 weeks. Okay. So, up next, what keeps people from becoming content creators is usually one of these three things that I've run into. And if there's anything else, I want you to drop that in the comment box down below. But for sure, if one of these three things or more, one or more of these three things resonate with you, I also need you to drop that in the comment box below. I would love to be able to continue to help you with these issues, quote unquote. Okay, so issue number one is fear of being seen and heard. Does that resonate? There was a time that this resonated for me as well, having a fear of being judged, a fear of being criticized, or even just a fear of being imperfect, of the content being imperfect, right? That is a thing. I understand. We fear people will see us trying and making the attempts, especially when we're new and a novice in the beginning. We don't know what we're doing, and it shows, right? Content creators talk about this all the time about their first pieces of content, their first 20 pieces, and how cringy it is, right? Because it's the beginning. It's like riding a bike. When you ride your bike with the two wheels, so you take the training wheels off, it's shaky, it's unbalanced. I mean, you need to wear the elbow pads, the knee pads, and the helmet. You're better off doing these things because it's very likely that you're going to crash at some times. Okay. And so content creation is no different. Nonetheless, if you now know how to ride a bike or do any other hobby that you love, in the very beginning of that thing, you weren't very good, or at least not as good as you are at it now. I remember how many times I fell when I was riding a bike, and now it's one of my favorite things in life to do. I love it. I love standing up on a bike and riding it. I love pedaling really fast forward and then allowing the pedals to flow back while the bike is still going at full momentum. I love riding without any hands. I love listening to music while I'm riding the bike. I love hopping on and off of curbs. Like, I love riding a bike. But I can still remember the day that I was learning how to ride with the elbow pads, the knee pads, the helmet on, and I thoroughly remember falling, and I have the scars to prove it. We get better, but we can only get better if we allow ourselves to start and to keep going. So it's not like I rode the bike one time and had that experience and then never rode it again and now I'm great at it, right? I continuously allowed myself to learn something new every time I got on my bike. Okay, so much so that now all of the things that I just spoke about, they were each new things that I had to learn how to do each and every time I got on the bike. Content creation is the same, y'all. And so in the last couple of webinars, I spoke about allowing the first 20 videos to just be practice. Don't worry about people seeing it and how many views you're going to get because, to be quite frank, if you allow the fear to override your feelings and your action of creating the content and publish it, we already know the result. You will not be a consistent content creator, right? We already know the output. You cannot continue with the same identity right now because it will not allow you to do all of the actions of the person who creates content consistently and gets a successful output. Point blank. So maybe you have a fear of being seen and being heard, right? Some people talk about how they sound on their pieces of content. They don't like the sound of their voice, much less of how they look. And I also want to reassure you that that also doesn't matter, even though it's valid. Your feeling is valid. If you cringe at the sound of your own voice or at watching yourself in the camera, it's absolutely valid. Feelings are always valid, but it doesn't mean that it now has the right to stop us from publishing content, right? So even if you don't like the sound of your own voice, it is not an indicator that you should stop trying, that you should stop doing. You absolutely need to continue your attempts and execute on creating content, even if you're getting used to the sound of your own voice. Okay, so each time we notice one of these limitations, like the fear of being seen or heard, we actually want to now reframe this for ourselves, right? So we're removing one thought or belief about ourselves and then reframing it so that it no longer holds us back from doing a thing consistently. So the reframe here would be for anyone who has a fear of being seen that visibility is a spiritual assignment. Okay. If you have something to teach, if you have value to give, that is a spiritual assignment. Your voice is someone else's alignment, right? When you listen to a podcast, or even if you're listening to a piece of content, if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, and this is resonating with you, this is because it's a part of your alignment just as much as it is a part of mine. Okay. So, I also want to add that because I was having a conversation with someone just last night as a part of my Make It Manifest workshop. Okay, so the individual that I was talking to, when I asked them if they were publishing content consistently, they said no, and I asked why. They gave something to the narrative of, well, I'm fine having natural and organic conversations when I'm just talking with someone one on one or in real time or in real life. But the moment I get in front of a group or a crowd and I have to public speak, or when I turn on the camera, I freeze. Now, this is very common. And what I really appreciated recently is I had a reframe through one of my favorite content creators on YouTube where they said, "We don't have a fear of public speaking. We public speak all the time. If you're in a group of friends or if you are in a group of family members, most of the time, we have no problem voicing our opinions." Okay. We have no problem about stating our truths. And if anything, we're loud about it. Okay. For the most part, and this is a lot of people's experiences, but getting on a stage, getting in front of a camera, speaking in front of strangers, or speaking in a classroom, now the environment has changed or the assignment has changed. And so now we actually have a different emotion. And so we don't have a fear of public speaking since we speak in public settings, familiar public settings all the time. We actually have a fear of public perception. I love that reframe because it makes so much sense. You cannot have a fear of public speaking if you're fine with speaking in a group of friends and if you're fine in speaking in your family group. You have a fear of being perceived, either because of the way you look or the way that you sound, if you don't want to sound stupid or you don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, if you're worried about freezing up or saying too many ums or forgetting your next line, all of these things. Okay. You're worried about what the audience is going to think of you. That's perception. And if we allow this to continue, what happens next is the next fear. Okay. Or the next thing that keeps people from becoming a content creator, which is perfection paralysis. You believe that you need to have it right, all things, right? You need to speak fluidly without messing up, without any ums, without forgetting your lines. You need to memorize everything, right? Or even if that's not the case, maybe you have content that's sitting in your folder right now, that's sitting in your album, and you believe that you need to edit this content. Now, I already did a webinar. Hopefully, I don't know if I could find it. If I do find it, I'll post it here. 22 minutes. I'll post it in this video, but otherwise, I highly suggest that you go back and watch my most recent content post where we talk about editing content. Don't edit your content. If editing your content is stopping you from publishing consistently, don't edit it with the ums and all. Now, in this particular piece of content that I mentioned this, I was stuttering like nobody's business, okay? So it was so funny how much harmony there was in that conversation because it was happening in real time for me as I was talking about it. Did I go back and edit that content before I published it for y'all? No, we do live webinars every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's very rare that you're watching a recording. Okay. So we do live webinars. I mess up in real time. I'm pretty sure I stuttered earlier, even just now, just taking the pauses and the breaks. But y'all, this is what makes things natural. This is what makes it real. Do you not stutter and mess up when you're talking to your family and your friends and they still stay there and they still listen? They don't defriend you or you're not ostracized by your family for messing up or making a mistake or for stuttering, right? So you don't need to edit your content. That's the point that I'm getting at. If editing your content is stopping you from posting, then don't even worry about editing. We're not there yet, and that's cool. It's not even an issue. Your audience actually is going to appreciate the more authentic you are in the conversation than not. Okay? Now, let's talk about, is this on, pup? Hold on, gotta make sure. All right, cool. So Mamba's here. Y'all know my pup. Gotta make sure she's good. Okay. So over editing, your content doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. Now, the next point in that is when we reach analysis paralysis because you're overthinking the right topic, the right niche. your conversations fall into, or the right angle and environment to capture your content in. You don't need to wait till no one's home, or that you have the perfect setup, or that you can't record content even while you're on the go, so that we can't claim that we don't have enough time, right? We're overthinking it. We turn on the camera, we share an idea. We share an idea that provides value. And here's the thing, y'all. Here's the overarching frame of all of this: fear of being seen, fear of being heard, perfection paralysis, analysis paralysis. Each time we are experiencing one of these things, fear of being seen, heard, over editing, overthinking, we're focused on the wrong thing. What's the wrong thing? We're focused on ourselves. We want to focus on our audience. Why? Because the content is providing value. So guess what? When you sneeze and cough inside of a piece of content, we get over it like that because we all sneeze and cough in a piece of content. Y'all already know. Well, maybe some of you have experienced being in a virtual room with me before. Y'all might even hear it in a little bit. Mamba, I have a 90-pound dog. She gonna bark when someone comes through the door because that's her reaction. Okay? I am not going back in this hour-long piece of content to find that, to edit it out for y'all. Dogs bark. You know that. I know that. It's all good. We're going to keep it pushing. That's not why you came to this content. No one's coming to your piece of content to look for perfection. That's no one's idea. No one says, let me click on this to see how perfect it is. They're clicking on it because of the value that you're going to provide. Whatever you put in your title description, whatever your thumbnail said or looked like, is the reason that someone chose to click on your content and watch it. And it matters what you're saying in it and how you're delivering your content, because that's the value. People are choosing what's valuable in your piece of content. And that is what makes them stay to watch. That is what makes them subscribe. That's what makes them comment or like and share. So each time we are focused on ourselves, we're focused on the wrong thing. And this is important as a part of stepping into this new identity, because when it comes up again, if you are experiencing any one of these things that's keeping you from becoming a consistent content creator for your own aspirations or for the aspirations of your business, this limitation absolutely has to go. It needs to be reframed and replaced with this: clarity comes from creation, not contemplation. If you're thinking so hard about what you're going to talk about, or thinking so hard about when you're going to edit your content so that you could publish it, you're contemplating too much. Okay? Publish and post what you have. Then you get clarity from the way that your audience responds to it or doesn't. And then that's what helps you to pivot so that you are creating valuable content that people want to watch. Like, they need to watch. Okay? Think about your audience, not yourself. And then finally, here's the third thing that keeps people from becoming consistent content creators. It is lack of structure. Okay? You have no system for capturing ideas on what to speak about. You have no system for batching content so that you're not constantly creating something new. And then you have no workflow because you haven't actually prioritized content. So therefore, you don't have a chosen time that you're actually going to record and publish your content. I have to turn on my light, so come with me, y'all. I know it's getting dark. Y'all see my own glow? I got my own glow out here. All right. So structure is important. Prioritizing content is important. There are so many things that we get to choose to do every single day. We have no problem choosing to go to work, even when we don't like the job that we're going to work at. We don't have any issues when it comes to choosing our meal times. We don't have any issues when it comes to choosing when we're going to do our laundry, right? Or when we're going to clean the house or when we're going to take a shower. We prioritize these things. And the same way you prioritize those things, you need to prioritize content. So, a part of the reframing is to create a system where content is a priority. You have your day, you have your time when you're going to produce content, just like I do, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Saturday. So there's no negotiation there. I've been invited out several times this year on Saturdays around the time frame of when I do my webinar. And if I don't have a chance to pre-record something so that no matter what, when you come to my channel on Saturday at 4 p.m., that you have something to watch, right? Or that you can join me at that time, then I don't go. And you could confirm this with my sister. You could confirm this with my friends. I have turned down invitations around this time frame because I have prioritized content every single week, this time and this date. There's no negotiation about that. So I have yet to miss a Saturday. And if I did, it might have went up on a Sunday. I think there was one time where I had a technical issue. And so what I recorded didn't post or something like that when I was becoming newer to this platform that I'm using, StreamYard. All right. So that was the exception. And then guess what? I let my audience know that was a thing and I posted the content as soon as I could. Right. Nonetheless, I still recorded the content though, Saturday at 4 p.m. It just didn't go up at the same time. So there's no negotiation for me in that. And there won't be. Content is that important to me because it's that important to my business. And so you will constantly and consistently find content from me at this time and date in this time and space. And so I need you to do the same thing for yourself. What day and what time does the content creator version of you record and publish content? And you're going to add that to your workflow. Now, I believe it was last week's webinar. Forgive me if I'm wrong. If it wasn't last week, it was definitely the week before. This was a conversation that we had recently about capturing ideas. You don't constantly need a new idea. You need one thing that you're passionate about or that you know that you can help someone solve a real world issue, and to talk about that thing in 100 different ways. So just 3 topics, right? So I talk about content on this channel, for example. I talk about mindset shifting on this channel. I talk about wealth on this channel. And I find different ways of talking about those same things over and over and over and over again. Content is actually a part of the Dream Small Business framework that I created. It's one corner of the framework, right? So sometimes, and inside of my other lives, if you go to my live playlist, you'll see that there's times where I talk about leads, there's times where I talk about offers, there's times where I spoke about systems. Okay. A majority of the content is around content because this is where people struggle the most. Most of my small business owner already has an offer. They might not have consistent leads, but they have some leads. They've made some sales and some transactions, but they don't have consistent content. Okay. So if that's the case, it's because you're missing structure. You need a workflow. You need 3 ideas and 100 different ways to talk about them. And then you want a batching rhythm. Now, my batching rhythm is to actually take my long form content and turn it into shorts, right? So you'll find 60 seconds of content that came from a long form piece of content that I already done. You need a batching rhythm. And if it's not that, then you'll just take a part of the long form content that you create and make a short form of that. That's a batching rhythm. So now you're not recreating content every single week. You're actually chopping up what you already have and reposting that. Okay. So we want to reframe our structure around the system that we currently have. You are now stepping into the identity, right, of a disciplined content creator. So you're going to choose your day and your time to which you are going to publish content, and you're going to stick to it because you have prioritized that. And there's a non-negotiable unless there's something absolutely dire that's going to stop you from doing such. And if there is, you're going to communicate effectively with your audience. All right, y'all. So next, here are 5 identity shifts for becoming a content creator. And this is important because we're stepping into this new identity right now as you're listening to this conversation. You're going to go from I post content to I express through content. Posting content is a task, right? Like, even as we're talking about it, it's like you got to be disciplined, you got to prioritize it. It feels very task heavy, right? And the thing is that we get to be ourselves and have this natural, organic conversation with our audience who wants to listen to us, that finds value in our content. And honestly, we're just expressing ourselves, right? So instead of posting being a task, we're actually just expressing who we are. We're expressing what we know and we're providing value. That's it. Your life is content, your passion, your skill set, your talents. That is the content. So your insights, your growth through experience, the lessons that you've learned, your work is content. You're turning on the camera when you're doing any one of these things or expressing any one of these things, right? What you've learned from the end result, and you're turning it into content. You're expressing yourself. One of your identity shifts for becoming a content creator is you expressing yourself on camera or in audio. Next, your shift from I need validation, okay, which is posting for likes or posting for people to subscribe. These are great call to actions, but if they're going to determine whether you continue to post content or not, that is an old identity that needs to go. We're going to go from I need validation to I document my evolution. Ooh, this is such a good one. Even as I look back, I've created over 100 videos at this point. And if I go back to the first 20, like I'm telling you, I'm like, oh, like it was way worse. I don't even consider this like this is not my ideal. It's not my ideal. I'm doing my best. Don't get me wrong, and you're doing your best too, right? I have faith that you're doing your best as well. This is my best currently, okay? However, this is not my ideal. Like I look at some of my favorite content creators, I love the studios that they're recording in, or even if they're recording in a room in their home, I love their setup. They have their desk set up for content creation. They have a dope background with cool LED lighting. They have these Shure microphones, which are amazing. Like the quality of the sound and the audio is impeccable. And I'm like, damn, I can't wait till I get there. I'm excited for that moment. I don't let it stop me. It's not a limitation where I don't record because I'm not in my ideal situation currently. I know that that's coming, and I know that that's coming through the evolution of me producing content. Each content creator that I follow, that I've watched go from recording in their car to recording in a studio, okay, they're documenting their evolution, and they'll tell you that that evolution has come from creating consistent content through consistently expressing themselves through their content. Okay, so we're no longer posting for likes or subscribers. We're posting to document the truth of who we're becoming. Your content is your timeline for transformation. Here goes your third shift. We're going from I don't know what to say, or I don't know what my topic is, I don't know what to publish, to my message is medicine. Y'all have heard me say, and if you watch more of my content, you'll hear me to continue to say that don't only post what you want to post. Post value. When we make content about ourselves, it is less likely that your goals of having more sales and transactions or monetizing on YouTube or solving someone's issue is less likely. If you're going to solve someone's problem, right? If you solve someone's problem, that's the same way that medicine solves problem for everyone every single day. You speak from experience, your healing, your journey, and somebody needs exactly what you say in the way that you say it. They need the lessons that you learned from what you have done. So your content is our medicine. You are the healing agent through expression, through your content, y'all. This is real. My brother just reinstalled and updated our entire kitchen by watching content on YouTube. Nope, I kid you not. If I could bring it up for you, I would, but I don't have, I should take pictures. I wish I had a picture to show you. Okay. But he redid the kitchen based off of content that he found on YouTube. And it looks great. It feels great. We just had hosted Thanksgiving, and my brother-in-law thought that appliances that we've had for years now, he thought they were brand new because the rest of the kitchen was new. Cool. And they felt so good about it. And they started to think about what they wanted their home to look like, right? We want people to feel through our content. We want people to be able to solve their long-term problems simply because we decided to turn on the camera and open our mouths. That's it. Your content is medicine. It is the healing agent through expression. Shift number 4. We are going from I create content. We're going from I create content to content flows through me. Right? I I love this one because I feel like I am a well of content now. So much so that I'm constantly picking and choosing which way I want to talk about something, right? This is manifestation energy. Okay. Just came off of the heels of this workshop. And this is what I've been doing. I have manifested over 100 videos of content on YouTube because that was my intention. And because I let that be my intention, because I created a workflow, because I stayed disciplined and committed to that workflow, because I finally chose something that I knew and that would help solve someone else's problem to consistently speak about, okay? I manifested the energy of a content creator. I've become the vessel through which content flows. And so are you. That's what you're doing right now. Because when you're aligned, your content is channeled, it's not manufactured. You do not need to make up something. This does not need to be perfect. It's not about the editing, it's not about the way that it looks. Audio is important. Your words need to be legible. And if you're not speaking, and if your content is visual, well, then visual is important. And I hope that you have an updated camera on your phone because that's the most minimal equipment that you need, which you likely already have. And trust me, if you continue to produce content consistently and you are providing value, if your content is actually valuable, you're going to be able to upgrade your equipment. You're going to be able to upgrade your environment. You're going to be able to upgrade all things because content flows through you and it's manifested energy. So all you need to do is line up with this. Shift number 5. Okay. You're going to go from I'm trying to this is what I do. So remember in the beginning of this where it's like, do you create content? Yes, but not consistently. I've been trying to create more content. I've been trying to publish more content. We're not trying anymore. 2026 requires a strategy of action. I'm doing. Okay. Identity is built through repetition and self concept, which is an arrangement in your mind. It is an arrangement of a belief, right? That you are something, that you have something, that you are doing something. Okay. And then you're going to repeat that several times because that's what a belief is. A belief is nothing more than a pattern of thoughts. So you're choosing this belief. I am a content creator, and you are repeating the actions of a content creator over and over and over again. I already talked about how to do that. Okay. Creators create because creating is who they are. We're all creators, by the way. So we're constantly creating around ourselves, right? It's not because we feel motivated. We're creating our environment and our situations all the time, whether we feel motivated or not. I already mentioned how many of us that go to jobs that we don't even like, that we're not motivated by, and we do it anyway because we are creating, right? The environment around us. This is who we are. We are making decisions and we're executing on those decisions. Allow content to be one of them. At least allow for this identity shift to be one of them. So, as we come up on the last portion here of the strategies that you need, the new YouTube strategies that you need to win in 2026 actually has nothing to do with YouTube at all. It has everything to do with you and your mindset. So, if you are not currently producing content consistently, you need to reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay. Subconscious, this is the lower level of the conscious mind. Conscious being this waking world where we're experiencing sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. We're communicating with one another right now, so we are in the conscious realm. Okay. Now, subconscious lives below the conscious realm. This is deep down below. This is where we experience the unconscious. This happens in our sleep world. This happens through meditation. This is where the brain relaxes. We're in a very relaxed state. We're somewhere in theta waves, right? So the subconscious mind is where expression takes place, right? So we talk about how we express ourselves. Well, how are you going to express yourself through your content before you actually step into this creator identity? I have some tools for you. And so I'm going to leave a link down below on how to access these tools and how to apply them. But I'm going to list them for you here now. So the tools that has been helpful for me in stepping into a creator identity is affirmational and identity rewriting. This is important, y'all. You have to step into the new identity. You can no longer keep the same version of yourself and be the new version of yourself. You need to choose. So the tools that's going to help you to choose is going to be affirmational identity writing, mirror talk before filming. I really like this one, by the way. It was cringy in the beginning, and now I love it. And it was really necessary in order for me to express myself and not be so monotone and give a monologue, right? Mirror talk, right? How are you going to express yourself on film? Well, you're going to practice before filming. Mirror talk before filming. You have vision scripting, what your life looks like as a content creator. You have pre-recording intention setting where you can listen to it before bedtime. You have environment frequency setting. You got to set yourself up for success. So maybe you don't have the ideal environment, but whatever environment you do have to record, make it good. Record in your car, record on a walk, right? Music. Okay, got music anchoring playlist for you. Okay, I got a creator alter ego activation for you. And this one's pretty solid. I'm not gonna hold you. And a lot of these tools, by the way, I gotta tell you, I wasn't at first. I was just like, oh man, like this is this is not what I'm looking forward to right now. But they worked. Okay. And then I have a post and walk away technique, right? For those of us who struggle with that being seen, heard, or pressing that publish button. All right. So last but not least, before we go in these last 10 minutes, I'm so proud of myself. I'm doing great with this. Okay. This is going to activate your identity shift in the moment, and it's an embodiment exercise. Okay. This is the creator timeline jump. So I want you to go from not posting and publishing consistently or expressing yourself through content consistently to now doing it ASAP. Okay. So I want you to take a moment as you're watching this or listening to this right now, as long as you're not driving or doing something where closing your eyes can be dangerous. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Okay. I want you to visualize yourself as that content creator that you want to be. What do they look like? Meaning, what do they wear? What do they sound like? What do they create? How do they show up? Then ask yourself, how does she move today? Or how does he move today? How do they move today? What do they post? How do they show up online without hesitation? Take a moment to physically embody them. Shoulders back, posture straight, deep breath, big smile or not, using hands and emotion. Embody that version of that content creator. And then we're going to end it with a spoken affirmation. Every day, in every way, I'm becoming a better content creator. I am a confident content creator. Creation flows through me. My voice, my wisdom, my experience has value. And with that, my friends, you can open your eyes. I have done this several times, and this wasn't an overnight success, but I promise that each time you choose to step into this new version of yourself, your confident content creator self, that because you chose to do that, the next step is illuminated for you to level up. And so I went from wearing all kinds of clothes to wearing what makes me feel good. And if it didn't, or if it was laundry day, my staff dress for content creation is wearing black. You guys might have seen me in this hoodie a few times. My new thing since it's winter is wearing clothes that I've made or that my friends have made. And I've gotten great advice to create staff dress for yourself. Don't make this a challenge. We need to eradicate all limitations so that we can show up as our best selves for our audience, but so that we feel confident and good too. How does that content creator move around? Man, I know that I'm going to show up and speak about small business. And I know that the conversations that I had with my clients or other individuals, the organic and natural conversations, that if it was good conversation then with them, that is good for you too. And so I'm going to share that wealth. Okay. How do I show up online without hesitation? Every Saturday at 4 p.m., baby. Okay. That's it. That's it, y'all. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Nothing to it but to do it. Now, Here we go. These are the only things that's left for you to consider. Okay. In your content, you want to have a call to action. As a part of stepping into this identity self, right? You want to be intentional about your content. So, if you're an aspiring content creator, and especially if you're a business owner, what do you want your audience to do as a part of watching your content? Now, in this piece of content, I've already gave you a couple of call to actions. I've asked you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I drop the next piece of content that's like this. I've also asked that you leave comments down in the comment box if what I say resonates with you, right? And I'm also leaving links down in my description box for you to assess my tools that has been very helpful for me so that I am able to step into this confident creator self each and every week. Okay. What is your call to action for your audience? That is important. Decide that. Okay. So maybe it is to seek out your products and services. That's cool. Make sure that you give your audience your call to action. Leave the links down in the description so that they're able to access it. Maybe it is for them to watch your previous pieces of content. If it is, make sure that you ask them to do that. Maybe it is that you want to reach 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. So ask them to subscribe to your channel, to watch more of your content, or at least to stay to the end of this piece of content, right? Whatever your call to action is, ensure that you are asking your audience. Okay. This is important. Now that that's done, I want to bring the energy back to identity embodiment. Okay. Stepping into content creator identity is really stepping into a higher level of visibility, of purpose, and influence. And once you shift the identity, the habits follow. Just like I told you, that happened for me. When I stepped into the identity, the habits naturally started to follow. The next step was illuminated for me. Okay. The content follows as well. The opportunities also follow today, not tomorrow. Okay. You get to step into the version of you who speaks, who shares, who creates, and who inspires. So, I have a content creator challenge coming up. If you would like to know more about that, because you would like to finally express yourself consistently all 2026 long through content, you're going to click on the link in the description down below that says Content Creator Challenge to get more details on this content creator challenge. Okay. This is going to allow you to publish pieces of content where you express yourself, who you are, what you do, what your business is, or why you're creating content and why it's valuable to your audience with my help. Okay. So you get a free complimentary discovery call with me if you click on that link down below to see if this is something that you're interested in and to see if I can help you. And with that, my friends, I thank you for joining me on this Saturday for this Dream Small Business framework. And I'll see you next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out.